The Victorian era, spanning between 1837 to 1901, marked significant changes for women in the United States, particularly for those in the upper class. Wealthier women lived lives defined by social expectations, propriety, and limited autonomy. They were often seen as paragons of virtue and morality, with society placing immense pressure on them to maintain the image of the ideal woman. This ideal, often referred to as the cult of domesticity, emphasized purity, piety, and submissiveness. However, while some adhered to these expectations, others pushed against these constraints, challenging traditional roles and leaving a legacy of defiance and reform. Upper-class Victorian women had limited legal and social rights. They could not vote, hold public office, or independently own property until the Married Women's Property Acts were passed in the mid to late 19th century. Even within their marriages, their husbands often controlled their finances, dowries, and inheritances. Historian Barbara Welter highlights the pervasive nature of the cult of true womanhood, which dictated the women's primary roles to be wives and mothers. This cultural narrative confined women to the domestic sphere, but for some wealthy women, it also meant managing large households and employing servants, which afforded them a certain degree of influence within the home. Education for upper-class women was often limited to subjects considered appropriate for their roles as wives and mothers, such as literature, music, needlework, and social etiquette. They rarely received training in the sciences, politics, or business. However, some women broke through these barriers, demanding access to higher education. Institutions like Mount Holyoke Seminary, founded in 1837, began offering advanced education to women, albeit with limitations. Biographer Mary Keller describes this as the beginning of an intellectual awakening among women, which gradually led to an increased opportunity for their participation in public life. Despite societal constraints, women in the upper class found ways to influence the world around them. Many participated in reform movements such as temperance, abolition, and women's suffrage. Figures like Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony, though not from the wealthiest classes, collaborated with affluent women who funded their efforts and hosted gatherings. These women's activism demonstrated their ability to navigate societal expectations while advancing progressive causes. Historian Eleanor Flexner notes that their ability to leverage their privilege was instrumental in the broader women's rights movement. Leisure and fashion played significant roles in the lives of Victorian upper-class women. Their elaborate clothing, often featuring corsets, crinolines, and bustles, reflected their status but also served as a symbol of their societal constraints. Victorian fashion historian Valerie Steele describes these garments as both tools of oppression and markers of privilege, signifying the wearer's detachment from physical labor. Wealthy women spent their days attending social events, writing correspondence, and engaging in philanthropic activities, which helped them maintain their societal status while subtly shaping cultural norms. The Victorian era is also remembered for its fascination with morality and propriety, which impacted women's public and private lives. Topics like sexuality and reproduction were shrouded in secrecy, leaving many women ignorant about their own bodies. This period's focus on maintaining appearances often silenced conversations about abuse, mental health, and marital discord. Biographer Judith Flanders highlights the double standard of Victorian morality, wherein women were held to stricter codes of behavior than men, further entrenching gender inequality. Influential women of the Victorian era who defied norms include Clara Barton, founder of the American Red Cross, and Victoria Woodhull, the first woman to run for president and first female stockbroker on Wall Street. Woodhull achieved remarkable success in finance, journalism, and politics. A spiritualist, suffragist, and free love advocate, Woodhull was an iconoclast who fought for her beliefs no matter how controversial they were at the time. These figures challenged societal norms by entering professions and public arenas previously dominated by men. Their successes and failures revealed the limitations placed on women, but also the possibilities for change. Barton's work during the Civil War and Woodhull's radical advocacy for women's suffrage inspired future generations of reformers. Modern fascination with Victorian women stems from the era's contrasts. Strict societal expectations juxtaposed with women's burgeoning independence and activism. Many view the period as one of darkness and mystery, shaped by tales of repressed emotions, Gothic literature, and hidden scandals. This perception is reinforced by the dichotomy between the ideal woman and the realities of their lived experiences. Cultural historian Lynda Nead suggests that this intrigue arises from a mix of nostalgia and curiosity about a time when women began to question and transcend traditional roles. Victorian women's lives were a blend of privilege, restriction, and resilience. Their struggles and triumphs continued to captivate historians and the public alike, offering a lens through which to examine the intersections of class, gender, and societal change. Their stories remind us of the progress made and the challenges that remain in the pursuit of gender equality. Thank you for joining me on this venture through the Victorian era. If you like this video, please like and share with other Victorian enthusiasts. Until next time, keep loving history and stay curious.